Hey everyone, it's Andy from Chronically Healthy Life on another episode of Fountain of Youth with Andy. And today, once again, I'm joined by my dear friend Amanda Beth Johnson, wellness coach and intuitive healer. And of course, I am a functional nutrition and longevity coach. And, I understand everyone wants to live longer, but, we definitely want to have the quality of life where we can not only live longer, but enjoy life and, hang out with people as we get older, your friends, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, and so on and so forth, and live pain free. Right. That's what Fountain of Youth is about. Every week, we want to start giving you a little bit about tips and how everything in our bodies relate with systems and each other. And today, we're going to talk about skin and how that is your second liver. So, how are you, Amanda? I threw you under a bus. I didn't even tell you what we're going to be talking about. So, getting into your intuition and diving in is get some of your intuitive insight,
Yeah,
how skin health is just so important for whole body health.
it skin is, and I think that's one of the most deceiving things is people fail to give skin the credit that it needs. It is the largest single organ of your body. If you think of your skin as an organ, I think it makes it easier to take care of your skin instead of just abusing it and just knowing that it's always there. Because I
Hmm.
think that we think of we have hand lotion, we have face lotion, we have body lotion instead of having skin lotion. And looking at the skin, it lets everything in. You put gloves on so that you're not absorbing chemicals through your skin. It's that's semi-permeable. You soak up stuff, you know. Different when you're handling like onion and garlic and you taste it in your mouth without ever
Yeah.
touching it. It's because it's being absorbed. So your skin absorbs everything that you're around. And my mom looks amazing for her age. I tell her, you are a really bad example of 76 years old, because she is a fountain of youth. And so she always said her secret was oil of Olay, that she just started drinking it. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, right. So that was my skincare routine. I have been blessed with good skin. So part of it's genetics, but I think the other part is making sure that you always stay hydrated.
Hmm.
You don't smoke tobacco. You avoid the sun, and if you got to indulge in alcohol, only in moderation. That is my skin protocol, as we kind of chatted about earlier. So those are what I think that you really need to do, because your skin is exposed to everything that you do or don't do for it.
Hmm.
So I think that hydration thing is a really big part. So that's
I
my
love
take
that.
on
I
skin.
love that. Yeah, it's sort of. I think your internet connection is a little wonky now. I hear a lot of buzzing coming from
Yeah,
you.
on the side of the road. Goodness.
But anyways, I'm gonna mute you for a quick second. Try to get rid of the buzzing. All right. I got Amanda muted, but I hope a lot of you guys caught what she is saying. She is such a trooper. She's signing up. She parked over on the side of the road, and doing the show with me inside her car, and I love her for that. But yeah, it's like what Amanda says. Our skin is our largest organ, but it is also our backup detox organ too, which a lot of people don't understand. And last week, Amanda and I we talked about our lymph system. Our lymph is one of the ways to detox, toxins out of our body and stuff like that. But when your lymph and your liver, which is your major detox organ, gets overloaded, guess what? That's when your skin comes up as the backup detox organ. And you know, it is so amazing what the innate ability of our bodies show us, because do you remember growing up we used to have acne growing up, right? And of course, everyone says, oh, well, it's because of hormones. And sure enough, hormones is probably a part of it growing up through puberty, through elementary, through high school. But you should not continue to have acne or rashes after 21, right? So if you're still having skin conditions, right, and this is becoming a very big issue, people are having eczema, psoriasis, rashes, acne, and even like vitiligo, right? Which is, when you start developing the patches of, the white spots all over your skin. This is really your body's way of yelling out for help, because there's just so much toxins that your lymphatic system's not taking care of it. Your liver obviously is overloaded, and now all the toxins are pouring out through your skin. So these are signs that something's going on inside. And I beg all of you, don't go to a doctor and start looking for this cream, that cream, to try to hide these symptoms, because these are signs that your body has poisons literally inside our body, and it's coming out, and they're warning signs. So if you start masking it with creams and starting to try to hide it, you're not taking care of the root problem. And like Amanda was saying, our skin, it's crazy. A lot of people don't think about it. So many things can be absorbed through our skin. So a lot of stuff that we touch, like a lot, like the cleaners that we use. And it was funny, I even did a quick might have been a Facebook Live. I don't quite remember what it was. But during COVID, everyone was wiping all sorts of crap with the Lysol bleach, those wipes, right? I don't know, Amanda. Do you remember those wipes, those bleach wipes? Everyone was wiping with them. And that is toxic,
Okay,
right? Because
and
one is poison. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
it was toxic. It was toxic, but it also removed all of the good bacteria from your skin.
Yes,
And so now you were sick because you didn't have the normal exposures that you need. It took away
exactly.
all the good bacteria. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love how you say that, because a lot of people think that all bacteria is bad, but we actually have good bacteria on our skin to fight infections. And like you said, that bleach not only did wipe everything clean, now it took away your natural defenses, right? And you're wiping everything down on your skin. You're not wearing gloves, and then you're eating off the table, you're eating off the plates that it's just like a hot mess. And no wonder so many people were getting sick, because you basically wiped out your immune system, right? And it really wasn't COVID getting everyone sick. It was everything driving your immune system down, where you were literally catching every single respiratory disease out there, right? You don't have any more buzzing, Amanda. You can just unmute. Let's hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was kind of, and during that time when everybody, locked themselves inside and they weren't exposed to, you got to challenge your immune system a little bit
Hmm.
every little bit. You need exposed to those things. Now, I'm not saying to go lick the counters at the grocery store, but you need some of that to challenge your system to keep it running and to keep it
Yeah.
going. And that's the problem that people have when they take the antibiotics.
Yes.
Yeah, they target things kind of, but they knock out all the good bacteria in your digestive tract, and it,
Yes.
it takes years to rebuild that. So stay healthy. Wash things that are dirty and gross. Yes, some things do need those Clorox wipes, but it isn't really Clorox in it. But anyway, some things do need antibacterial things that are gross. But general hand washing, you're going to get your hands cleaner with just the friction action of washing more than that antibacterial, because the antibacterial is just knocks out everything, and then you don't have the good stuff that you need. People think a staph infection is horrible. Well, yeah, but staph is on your skin. E. coli is in your body. These things are
Yeah.
normally occurring in balance. So when you go
Yeah.
wiping them all out, you don't leave any defenses left to take care of yourself. Yeah.
I love that. That is so true. And and I just wanted to dive in a little bit because we're talking about skin as our second liver, as our detox organ. Um, I always watch those commercials. What's that commercial? Growing up, it used to be Downy. You know how you get the Downy smell, but now they have that other one where what is the commercial? That detergent, those with those little beads that you put into your dryer or wash, and it says like
Oh,
smells fresh
the
30 days later.
yeah,
You,
that's
you know what I'm
and
talking
I'm
about?
one of those. I don't like a lot of smells. Yes, I do. It's the is it sunlight? Is it yeah? They're the washing beads, and they put it in the washer, or there are some that you put in your dryer. And if it's gonna stick on my clothes and smell like something for 30 days, what
Yes,
film and gick is it leaving on my clothes? That's gonna get on my skin. That's gonna get soaked into my system.
exactly. Right. And the funny thing is, like, for me, is like, we talk about clean skincare and stuff like that. And all these things are going in, it's disrupting your hormones, right? It's jacking up the estrogen, right? Which, for some women it may make them more curvy, but it's definitely not too cool when the guy's estrogen gets jacked up and the testosterone drops down because and it's a big problem. I'm starting to see a lot of men and I don't know if I can say this live on Facebook Live, but like man man chest. Okay, let's go like man boobs. I'm just gonna say they got man boobs, right? And it's horrible. It's horrible, right? It's not because they're
Well, and
overweight. It's just because the hormone dysfunction's all jacked up.
well, and you think about the foods that we eat and what those foods are pumped full of to produce more. Cows get more hormones to produce milk. Chickens
Yes,
get more hormones to produce more breast meat. Where do you think
yes,
those hormones are going? And the
exactly.
antibiotics, and that's how newborn babies are. You can't be allergic to something that you haven't been exposed to. And so we see newborns coming in and they're allergic to an antibiotic the very first time they've been given that
Yes,
antibiotic. And it's because that's in their food system. So think of everything that you're taking on. And those estrogen for men who get that extra estrogen that they don't need, they
yes.
also become more emotional. I mean,
Oh, big
it
time.
messes
Yep.
with everything. Yeah.
Hmm. No, I love it because like a lot of guys don't think about it, right? And then you have all the parabens, all the preservatives, all the chemicals, and even like for men, even in their cleaners, their shampoo, right? In their skincare, even though I hear some men, I'm a man, I don't use it skincare, but there's so much of these chemicals, and it does mess with your hormones. So since we're talking about skincare, I'm going to do a shameless plug for Minna. She's developed a new skincare line called Coolness, right? And this is an amazing line that she's developed over the last year. And, it's made with Shisandra berries, pearl powder, and dragon's blood, like really cool stuff that rejuvenates the skin. And like I said, all natural preservatives, no parabens, none of the crappy stuff you put on your skin. This is a great way to liven up your skin, making you look younger, from the inside out, right? And that's just one of the really great ways that we love. I love this product. The funny thing is, men have skin too, and I actually use it. And this product now is actually available on Amazon. Minna's so excited it's
Oh,
available on
wow.
Amazon now. So, we have to get onto the Amazon market. That's where everything is nowadays. So, please, if you see there, scan that QR code and you can order right off Amazon. We're working on getting it on Amazon Prime, but we'll get there. But first step is getting it on Amazon. And then of course, um, Amanda, what are some holistic ways that you use to to help detox the body, right? Because like we talk a little bit of lymphatic system, we saying that the liver obviously, is your major detox organ, and then once there's too much toxins, it starts showing up on our skin. Are there any homeopath ideas you can share on what's a good way of detoxing your body, and if you start seeing signs on your skin?
Oh my goodness. So homeopathy looks at the specific symptom and then the
Hmm.
things that may, and so it's very, very individualized to that individual. One
Hmm.
of the things that we see with women in that hormone response is that chloasma, the brown spots that come with pregnancy. It's a pregnancy hormone. Unfortunately, when the baby is born, the pregnancy's gone. Those hormones don't leave, and so every time you're exposed to the sun, that comes out. So
Oh wow.
sepia,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So my baby's 21 years old, and I still get brown spots when I go into the sun. But I have discovered that taking the homeopathic remedy sepia, which is a female uh, remedy, helps with that. But also when you detox your body, and so when you're more aware of what you're bringing into your body, to not have the
Hmm.
chemicals, the preservatives, the extra things there that you don't need to eat. If you can't pronounce it, you should not be putting it in your body.
Correct.
So I mean, it's a whole systemic thing, but also some of the other things that come up in skin is, the extra, sometimes they talk about the little white bumpy acne things that are on your arms and on your back as being a
Hmm.
gluten intolerance. So
Yes.
from a homeopathic perspective, there's not necessarily a blanket. There's a lot of skin things we do for different things that erupt in the skin. For gosh, you put me on the spot. My words are gone. Eczema. So like in eczema, when I had eczema on my feet, I used some of the Bach essences. It was
Yeah.
skin mapping. There's all kinds of things. There's not a one size fits all. But then there's also the other detoxes that go with doing the heavy metal detoxes for all the
Hmm.
metals that we're exposed to.
Yeah.
The plastic detoxes. You've got a plastic water bottle. You're putting
Hmm.
your food in plastic baggies, in Tupperware storage. Um, and I'm guilty. I have antique glassware to put my leftovers in, but uh, they take so much more effort.
Well,
uh,
especially in the microwave, do you still have one of those plastic covers that you put over? Like I have a
I
glass
never,
one now, but everyone used to have
yeah,
the plastic, and you're just baking the plastic whatever into your food.
you are. You're releasing those. And I don't use my microwave a whole lot. And I've never been one to cover. And usually I end up throwing a paper towel over it more than the plastic
Correct.
thing because I'd have to wash the plastic thing. I can just throw a paper towel away. So I've been saving myself all those years. But when you look at what those plastics do, we've linked those plastics to being absorbed, and everything that you're putting your stuff in is in plastic. And if it sits in the hot car, it
Yes.
activates, it's, I think, worse than being in the microwave because it gets so much hotter. So,
Yes. So
you know,
true. So true.
being aware of where your food comes from, what you're putting in your body, and then the other stresses that you have that you detox from, or stress being a toxic part of your body, because when we were teenagers and that acne, well, as adults, that acne, a lot of that is a stress response as well. So not just the toxins, but then just the toxicness of stress. So thinking about that, and your skin shows everything.
I love that because that's a great leeway because obviously you're a wellness, but then you're also an intuitive healer, right? And today I'm just throwing you under the bus. Um, I know of many people that used to have eczema because of all the negative thoughts, all the negative energy they were holding inside their body. And when they got guided with an energy healer, and basically it's almost like that energy plug got uncorked. Not only did he get better energy, but like they lost a lot of the skin conditions too. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that. So I'm a homeopathic practitioner as well as a theta healer,
Yes.
and I think one of the quickest reference books you can do is Louise Hay's. She has some books about bodies, but if we think about dis-ease, so
Yes.
when you have negative emotions, there's another book, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. When you push all that down, you suppress all that down, you take in all these stresses, the body creates a blockage, and the
Hmm.
blockage then creates a disease or a problem. And so when you clear up that energy, you're right. Myself, going through my own healing process, I used to have a huge list of prescription medications. There's none.
Hmm.
I had a lot of ailments and diseases and syndromes and all kinds of things. Those are gone too. We don't list those out anymore. I don't give them power. So yes, looking at the energetics of what you're experiencing, creating a blockage in your body that then creates a disease, that then
Hmm.
we run to Western medicine, and Western medicine starts with the pharmaceuticals to
Yeah.
suppress whatever's going on. They're not treating it. One pill
Yeah.
leads to two pills, leads to three pills. So being more mindful. And yeah, there's times, yes, I go through fast food every once in a while. Not
We
every
all do.
day. Yeah, it's the moderation and deciding what your body likes and doesn't like. And I know, as far as like that hormone response of the dark spots and everything, that
Hmm.
it would start in pregnancy. When when I'm off sugar, I don't do that. And I know we talked about sunscreens and skin just a
Yeah.
few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I've thought more and more about it. There was a time where I did not go out in the sun, even just to walk down and get the mail, without slathering my face in all this sunscreen. This year, I really have not done the sunscreen ritual, and I have not burned. I have a beautiful tan like I used to do when I was a little kid,
Sure.
and I'm loving it because I didn't burn. I mean, I don't go out and sunbathe either, but I'm not burning, and the dark spots are gone. And I think that a lot of the dark
Love
spots
that.
is not having those other toxins to react and play with the sun.
That is so awesome. Thanks for all those tips because, like every week on Fountain of Youth, I do want to share some holistic, healthier ways to boost your body's abilities to, repair itself, right? That's all about the Fountain of Youth. And, Amanda shared some homeopathic ways, which are amazing. But of course, energy healing, that's also very important. A lot of people, you got to check it out. If you've never done it before, have an open mind. Amanda's, information's on there. Definitely check her out. AmandaBethHealing.com. You'll have your mind blown when you get that aha moment why I haven't done this a long time ago. But moving on, of course, Fountain of Youth for me is also, talking about how we can use LifeWave products, right? And, we are so passionate, both me and Amanda are brand partners of LifeWave. We use LifeWave personally for ourselves and recommend it for our clients. And of course, today, since we're talking about skin health, I got two products I do want to recommend. The first one is glutathione, and we talked a little bit about glutathione previously on one of my other Fountain of Youth. And even when we're talking about, over limbs, glutathione is the master antioxidant, which means it's the master detoxer that gets stuff out of your body. I was going to say something else, but stuff outside your body. And the beauty of glutathione, the glutathione patch, is like I said, if you're not familiar with LifeWave patches, they are using your body's own light and energy and heat to activate these patches. They are non-transdermal. You basically put them on for 12 hours during the day, take it off at night. And the beauty of the glutathione is it boosts glutathione by 300% daily, right? And that, that just trumps all supplements, it trumps all IV injections, and trumps everything out there, because most of the stuff takes a long time to even build up to 30 to 40%. But most of the other ones, like if you're doing the IV infusions, within 7 to 10 minutes, you lose about half, the half life is about 7 to 10 minutes. And by the time you get home, whatever you put into your body is already gone. This is keeping it elevated for 300% for the day. And, it helps reduce oxidative stress. You know, um, it was funny. I think I was telling Amanda I had like a major, one of those fire ant bites on my finger, and it blistered out. It looked like a huge, totally disgusting. And the only thing I was using was the glutathione patch. And now it's like 2 weeks, but it's sore on my middle finger, so I'm not going to bend my other fingers down. I want to be giving people the finger on screen, but it's almost completely healed with just the glutathione patch. So glutathione is amazing to lower inflammation, but it's also so amazing for skin healing, right? So Amanda, do you use the glutathione patch yourself? Amanda, I think Amanda's frozen. Amanda's frozen. Well, hopefully we can get her back on screen. The other thing that I recommend is the aloe vera patch, right? The aloe vera patch. I talked a little bit about this. Great for skincare, and me and Minna, we love using these together. We use Minna's coolness, cream when we sleep, under the eyes, on the face, and we actually slap one of these right on our forehead when we sleep. And this aloe vera, it boosts, it boosts your pineal gland function, which actually helps you sleep better, because it resets your circadian rhythm, it improves it, and it boosts melatonin. And guess what? When you're sleeping, that's the time when your body is healing and repairing itself. So not only this combination together, while using it through sleep, your body's absorbing the great goodness of all the stuff in Minus coolness, but the aloe vera is also helping you regenerate the skin, right? To take away a lot of the brown spots and stuff like that. And one of the cool clinical studies with the aloe vera is it actually lengthens your telomeres. So of course we're talking about fountain of youth, and a measure of youth is how long your telomeres are. So how cool is this? Using this product can actually lengthen your telomeres. And then if you're using the X39, boosting your GHKCU, and guess what? We all know that GHKCU, guess what? They activate stem cells. So having them together, it's almost like a 1-2 punch. X39 right here in the morning. I still have my glutathione right here on my hand, and then aloe vera at night. And this is the best combination to, to help you repair your skin. Anyways, when it comes to radiant skin, it's not about what you put on your face, right? But what you clearing it up with, how is it clearing up from within? So always throw away all the crap. The more commercials you see on TV, the prettier the woman that's on there promoting the product, more likely the more toxic the product is. If there's more than 3 or 4 ingredients that you don't understand or can't pronounce, it's probably not a good thing, right? Source out skincare that is clean, that is all natural, right? And, like Venus Kunis, right? And of course, have a look at the aloe vera and glutathione patches. Please reach out to, to me. Let me pop that back on there at chronicallyhealthylife.com. Or if if any of this stuff resonated with you, please reach out to me and set up a 30-minute consult at longevitywithandy.com. I lost Amanda. She was such a trooper logging in with internet, with cellular in her car. And I guess either her phone died or she lost connection in her area. But please reach out to her too. She's a dear friend of mine, wealth of knowledge in all things holistic, and like some of the stuff she shared, right? And I love working with people, even with Chronic Health Collective, right? We got 13 other coaches that specialize in all different areas of life. So if it's not an answer, if it's not a question that I can help you with, or you're having an issue that you're not comfortable talking to me with, I got you covered. I got 13 other, uh, coincidentally, 13 other women that be able to answer all your questions. But you can check out Amanda at amandabethhealing.com. And I will see you all next week on the Fountain of Youth with Andy. Goodbye now.